Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be working on subtraction with regrouping. Actually, what I'd like to call this is subtraction with borrowing and regrouping. So, because even before we regroup, we're going to borrow. But before we get started, let's remind ourselves that, hey, one big idea that's going to be involved in this problem is to remember, hey, there's many ways to write numbers. And we're going to rewrite numbers in order to finish up this problem. And in this case, we're actually going to do this problem two ways. We're going to use just numbers, fractions with numbers, but then we're also going to use images. And we're going to see how the same problem looks if you were to draw it, just so for some variety's sake. Some people are numbers people, some people like to say drawing. So this is for both of you. So you'll never guess what problem we're going to do. Yep, that's right. 5 1/8 minus 3 3/4. So we're going to look at the number view first. If we were to do that, I'm going to write this thing vertically, or I'm going to rewrite it vertically. 5 1/8 minus 3 3/4. Well, the first thing that we notice about this problem is, hey, the denominators are different. We can't take fourths away from eighths. So step one is going to be find a common denominator. We're going to rewrite, use a common denominator. And when I look at 8 and 4, I can make a 4 look like an 8. So one common denominator is 8. So how do I make this 4 look like an 8? Well, I'm going to multiply both top and bottom of this fraction here by 2. Use common denominator. And if I do that, then my problem looks like this. It looks like this problem number is going to come over. Minus 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. And I have, here's my rewritten problem. 5 1/8 minus 3 6/8. Great, same denominator. But still have a problem. Because I can take 3 away from 5, but how do I take 6/8 away from 1/8? I don't have enough 8s. So here is, that was step 1. I should read that. Step 2, we're going to borrow and regroup. So how am I going to do this borrowing? Well, I'm going to borrow from this 5. I'm going to think of this 5 as 4 plus 1, because 4 plus 1 is 5. But I'm going to regroup this 1. I'm going to give it a fancy way to say 1. That is, I'm going to call 1 the same. 1 is the same as 8. 8s, right? Now I'm choosing 8s because that's what my denominator here is. So 1 is the same as 8 8s. So these two are the same, right? 8 8s is the same as 1. And now I'm going to rewrite 5 1/8 as 4. And 1 plus 8 is 9, and 9 8s, because I still have this 1 here. My 1's 8 8s. So 8 8s plus 1 8 is 9 8s. And now I have, bring my other number across. I have 4 9 8s minus 3 6 8s, and this I can do. 4 minus 3 is 1. 9 8s minus 6 8s is 3 8s. So there's my answer. So 5 minus 1/8, 5 1/8, subtract 3 3/4 is 1 3/8. So what does this look like visually? Well, so I'm going to draw some figures to represent 1. Let's see. I'm going to call this right here 1. So I need, how many of these do you need? My original problem had 5 1/8. So let's see, let me do this. As I'm drawing this, I'm hoping you realize why I'm choosing to make my drawings look exactly like this. Those of you seeing the number of squares, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's the 5 part. And 1/8, right? Well, here, notice conveniently, on purpose, I drew these values, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. you can see here that each one of these boxes is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal sized parts. So I'm going to need one little tiny piece here to represent 1/8. So here's 5 and 1/8. So there's a little 1/8 piece. And I'm going to subtract 3. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 3/4. 3 and 3/4. So, and conveniently, if I look at, I can break up these pieces into 4 equal pieces. So 3/4 is going to look like, let's see, if I was to draw one hole, I don't have a hole, I have 3/4. And I was to split it up, I can see that 3/4 is going to look like this. So there's a 4th. So here's one hole, and if I divide it into 4 equal pieces, I have 3/4. So here's 1/4, here's a 4th, here's a 4th. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1/8 minus 1, 2, 3, and 3/4. 1/4. Now I can take away these whole parts, but how do I take 4ths away from 8ths? I can't, because these things are different size. So my first step here was use a common denominator. Here I'm going to make these things the same size. If I split each of these in half, 3/4, if I multiply top and bottom by 2, I see that 3/4 is the same thing as 6/8. So here's my original 3/4. If I take this thing and I split them all in half, now I have 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each one of these little pieces is an 1/8. I won't write them, but each one of these pieces here is 1/8. And so now at least these little pieces match the same size as this piece. Great. I have all my little pieces. But I have a problem here now, because I have to take away 6 of these from one of these, and I can't do that. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to borrow from one of these pieces, and I'm going to do just what I did here. So instead of having 5, I'm going to have 4 whole pieces, and this one I'm going to split up into 8 equal pieces. So I have 8/8. Here's 8/8. So 4 plus 4 wholes, and 8/8 here plus the 1/8 is 9/8. But now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/8. Now I can actually remove the pieces because everything's the size the same. So I have 4 minus 3 is 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I have to take 3 away from this group. So this can go with that, and this can go with that. So there's my 4 minus my 3, and now I have 6/8 I have to take away. So I'm going to take away 1 here and 1 here, 1 here and 1 here. I'll just take away until I have nothing left on the bottom. And what do I have left over? Well, what's left over is this whole piece here, and 1, 2, 3 of my 8th pieces. And so what am I left with? I'm left with 1 whole and 1, 2, 3 8 pieces. So 1 and 3/8, just like I had as the number. The visual example here works great because our numbers weren't very large. But just think if we had to draw this image with a problem something like this. 27 and 5/8 minus 13 and I don't know, something crazy. Something like 9/12. We could see that the drawing works fine for numbers that aren't too large. But once we get into larger numbers, and most things include larger numbers, the drawing doesn't work very well, which is why we have to master the borrowing and regrouping in order to do the fraction subtraction here. So there are your 2 views, one with numbers, one with images, right? And it certainly illustrated our point of there are many ways to write numbers. You know, we rewrote the numbers different denominators. We even borrowed so we could rewrite the numbers. And then we even rewrote them with pictures. But we all have to learn this form. I hope this helps. Go out and practice. You guys will do great. Have a nice day.